Let's go Dolphins! The atmosphere is heating up behind the scenes in Miami, and I've got some major updates that every Dolphins fan needs to hear. We all know the goal is clear, getting to the Super Bowl. But for that to happen, head coach Mike McDaniel desperately needs a roster stacked with top-tier talent. Unfortunately, Chris Grier, who should have been fired a long time ago but somehow still holds his job, is making moves that could either be game changers or disasters. And I'm about to break it all down for you right now. But before we go any further, make sure you hit that like button if you've been a true Miami Dolphins fan for over 20 years. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages representing. And if you're really one of us, drop a comment saying, "Go Dolphins! My heart bleeds aqua and orange." Alright, straight to the point. The Miami Dolphins have officially reached out to one of the top cornerbacks left on the free agent market, Asante Samuel Jr. This move was first reported by Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, who confirmed that the Dolphins have contacted Samuel's camp to explore bringing him to Miami. Now, this is no small rumor. Asante Samuel Jr. isn't just any corner. He's a former second-round pick out of Florida State, a Fort Lauderdale native, and someone with legit NFL starting experience. The man's resume includes over 50 starts and a reputation for sticky coverage and versatility. But here's the issue: injuries. Samuel Jr. comes with a fair share of health concerns, especially after neck surgery he had in April. This is why a signing isn't imminent. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reported that Samuel won't be signing anywhere until July at the earliest, pending medical clearance. Yet the Dolphins are smart, well, maybe not smart, but desperate enough to get ahead of the curve. They made the first move to show Samuel Jr. that they're serious about adding him to the roster when he's ready. And let's be honest, this cornerback room is a mess. Even with Jalen Ramsey on the roster last season, things were shaky. But with the very real possibility, no, the likelihood, that Ramsey gets traded within the next 3 weeks, the Dolphins are staring at a depth chart that's downright terrifying. Cam Smith, who was disappointing as a rookie, Storm Duck, an improving UDFA, Jason Marshall Jr., a fifth-round rookie, Artie Burns, and Kader Kohou. Folks, that's not an NFL-caliber secondary. That's a liability. The gamble Miami made during the draft was crystal clear. They pushed the need for a cornerback down the road. They went heavy in the trenches, passing on higher-end corners like Will Johnson or Trey Amos in the second round, which, frankly, felt like malpractice given the glaring need. Jonah Savaye might be solid on the defensive line, but trenches don't help when the opposing quarterback has all day to throw against a Swiss cheese secondary. Now, let's talk about what Asante Samuel Jr. actually brings to the table. He's only 25 years old, but plays with the experience of a seasoned vet. He's a true boundary corner, excels in both man and zone coverage, and has the speed and instincts to make plays on the ball. When healthy, Samuel Jr. is a ball hawk. He allowed a QB rating of just 61.3 when targeted in man coverage in 2023. His ability to jam receivers at the line and disrupt routes is exactly what the Dolphins secondary is screaming for right now. But Miami isn't stopping there. They're also keeping tabs on Rasul Douglas, who last played for the Buffalo Bills after being traded mid-season from the Green Bay Packers in 2023. Now, Rasul's story is a little different. He had a rough 2024 season but was solid in 2023. He's a zone coverage specialist, which actually fits really well into new defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver's scheme, which runs a heavy dose of cover 2 and mixed zone looks. Rasul Douglas actually visited Miami earlier this offseason. Chris Grier, yeah, him again, made an offer, but Douglas declined and then went to Seattle. Guess what? No deal there either. The guy's probably looking for more money than anyone's willing to pay right now, but Miami's staying in contact, which, honestly, feels like Grier's way of hedging his bets in case the Asante Samuel Jr. situation falls through or the Ramsey trade doesn't bring back what they hope. Let me put it bluntly, without Jalen Ramsey, this cornerback room is the worst in football. Hands down. No debate. Bottom 32 out of 32. Adding just Samuel Jr. makes it slightly better, but not good. Add Rasul Douglas as well? Now we're talking about a secondary that ranks somewhere between 20th to 22nd in the NFL. Not elite, not even great, but at least not a disaster. The front seven is strong: Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips coming back, Chop Robinson stepping up, Christian Wilkins gone but Kenneth Grant and Zach Savaye filling those gaps. Linebackers like Jordan Brooks and Tyrell Dodson bring speed and aggression, but it's all meaningless if the secondary can't hold up for more than 2 seconds. Douglas, standing at 6 feet 2 inches, has the size and length you want on the outside. He's not a fit for man-heavy schemes, but Miami isn't running that kind of defense. They ranked 4th in the NFL last season in cover 2 usage at 27.3%. That's a zone-heavy look where Douglas thrives. And honestly, I trust him way more than Storm Duck or Cam Smith at this point. You simply cannot roll into week one with those guys as your starting outside corners. If Greer somehow pulls off getting both Asante Samuel Jr. and Rasul Douglas, it would at least patch up the gaping hole left by the impending Ramsey trade. Will it make Miami a Super Bowl favorite? No, but it keeps the defense competent enough that the offense led by Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle can actually win shootouts without needing to score 40 points every week. Alright, picking up right where we left off, because this situation is far from cooling down. If anything, it's heating up even more. The clock is ticking for the Miami Dolphins front office. The window to make moves before training camp isn't going to stay open forever, and the margin for error is razor thin. And let's not sugarcoat it. Chris Grier has already proven time and time again that trusting him to make the right decisions is a gamble in itself. This man should have been fired years ago, but here we are, still waiting. Let's dive deeper into what the future actually looks like if the Dolphins manage, or fail, to land both Asante Samuel Jr. and Rasul Douglas. First, the Asante Samuel Jr. situation isn't just about his neck surgery or waiting for medical clearance. It's about a gamble on upside. This is a guy who, when healthy, plays at a Pro Bowl level. His ability to switch seamlessly between man and zone fits perfectly into what Anthony Weaver is designing for this defense. Weaver's scheme isn't static, it's dynamic, it's aggressive, and it thrives on confusing quarterbacks with multiple looks. Samuel Jr. thrives in exactly that kind of chaos. His 2023 numbers don't lie, lockdown coverage when asked to play man, and while his numbers in zone were a little inflated, his ability to break on the ball and disrupt routes is elite. And let's not forget, he's still just 25. We're not talking about a washed-up veteran. We're talking about someone who can be a foundational piece for years if his health holds up. But here's the kicker. That neck injury isn't minor. Neck injuries are career-threatening, and Miami knows it. That's why no offer is on the table yet. The Dolphins are playing the waiting game, hoping the medical reports in July give the green light. But what if they don't? What's the backup plan? That's where Rasul Douglas comes into play. Douglas isn't flashy, he's not the most athletic, but he's smart, physical, and fits like a glove in a zone-heavy defense. He knows how to read quarterbacks, jump routes, and be in the right place at the right time. His down year in 2024 is concerning, sure. But let's be honest, the Buffalo Bills' defensive shift toward more man coverage exposed his limitations. That's not the case in Miami. Anthony Weaver's system, which uses a heavy dose of cover 2, some cover 3, and creative blitz packages, would put Douglas back in his comfort zone. Now, imagine pairing Douglas and Samuel Jr. on the outside with Kader Kohou handling the nickel. That trio, while not elite, is at least NFL caliber. Add in Cam Smith as a rotational piece. Maybe he figures it out in year 2, maybe not, and Jason Marshall Jr. learning behind them. Suddenly, this secondary isn't a laughingstock. It's functional, combined with a front seven that features Jaylon Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson, Kenneth Grant, Zach Savaier, Jordan Brooks, and Tyrell Dodson. You've got the makings of a defense that can actually hold its own. But let's not kid ourselves. This is all contingent on Miami closing these deals. And that's a big if. Rasul Douglas already rejected an offer from Miami earlier this offseason. The fact that he also left Seattle without a contract suggests he's chasing a payday that no one wants to give him yet. Chris Grier might try to lowball him again, and if that happens, Douglas could just walk away entirely. And if Grier screws this up, if the Dolphins go into week 1 with a cornerback room of Cam Smith, Storm Duck, Jason Marshall Jr., and Artie Burns, it's over. Period. No sugarcoating it. You could have the best front seven in the league.